This is Democracy Watch. So we've got some breaking good news out of Michigan. Tell us what just happened.
Yeah, this is literally breaking news. This happened just moments ago. The federal court in Michigan dismissed a lawsuit by 11 Republican state legislatures that were trying to overturn the two big pro-voting ballot initiatives that have transformed democracy in the state of Michigan. And they had brought this challenge using the fringe independent state legislature theory. They tried to resurrect that theory after the Supreme Court rejected it. The federal court dismissed that case. The two ballot initiatives that, like I said, literally transform voting in the state of Michigan, those are safe. Michigan voters are safe, and the courts withstood this attack.
Now, we've spoken about the independent state legislature theory before, but just for posterity here, where did it come from, and what would it mean for democracy if this thing got a foothold in our court system?
Okay, so this is a fringe right-wing theory that has been peddled by the worst of the worst for years now. Okay, this theory says that only state legislatures can pass election laws, and state courts are therefore not free to rule on them. So because the Constitution says that state legislatures set the time, place, and manner of federal elections, this says that state courts may not apply their state constitutions in striking down those laws. It also says that state ballot initiatives, where election laws are adopted through the initiative and referendum process, are all unconstitutional because they were not passed by the legislature. In its strongest form, it even says that governors cannot veto legislative enactments. So this is a hyper muscular theory of state legislative power. If this sounds familiar to what Donald Trump and John Eastman and Cheeseborough and the rest of them tried to peddle after the 2020 election, that's because it's a very close relationship ideologically, and it has been rejected by the U.S. Supreme Court last term. These legislators were trying to reform it and to use it to really rob Michigan voters of their meaningful election law ballot initiatives that made voting much easier in that state.
Yeah. Would you expect conservatives to try to resurface the independent state legislature theory again before the 2024 election, or is this pretty much done now for 2024?
Oh, they're going to keep trying. They're going to keep trying before the election. They'll keep trying after the election if we have another, situation like we had after 2020 where Donald Trump and his forces are trying to overturn the election. You're going to keep hearing about their theory of legislative power to choose electors, to set election rules without any safeguards. You're going to keep hearing about it. The courts have consistently rejected it. It rejected it after 2020. It rejected it in the ISL case out of North Carolina that people thought might go the other way in 2023. But this fight is not over. The Federalist Society and Leonard Leo and those types have pumped millions and millions of dollars into this theory, and democracy is not safe until it is defeated completely. But for now, we are in good shape because this case, at least for now, was defeated.
And of course, the independent state legislature theory has been covered extensively in Democracy Docket, which is the free news outlet Marc founded to focus on everything voting and elections. So if you're not yet signed up for Democracy Docket, it's an amazing resource. I'll put the link right here on the screen and also in the post description of this video. So please go ahead and sign up. Marc, the first question that I had was why would they try to advance this in Michigan where Democrats have a trifecta? But I'm realizing is the answer probably that they just want to establish a precedent somewhere so that they can then pick it up in the raft of states that Republicans actually control the legislature in and say, like, look, it happened in Michigan. And so then it would kind of give them a precedent to be able to do it in North Carolina and just the raft of other states that Republicans not only control, but are perfectly willing to wield power in.
Yeah, so I think it's a couple of things. First of all, I think Republicans in Michigan are nuts, right? Like they're nuts. Like you can follow what's happening.
Yeah, this is the Christina Caramo Republican Party.
Correct. So part of it is that they are just ideologically opposed to expanded voting rights. And the 2018 ballot initiative that passed and the the 2022 ballot initiative that passed. These rewrote the election laws in Michigan to adopt all manner of expanded voting rights. And so part of it is just they want those ballot initiatives rolled back. They would still face a trifecta that could reenact them, but they're nuts, and they just want to do everything they can to throw sand in the gears of election administration. I think at a more sophisticated level, you're exactly right. They are all looking for a vehicle, right? Think about, that's a term that's used in the law, right? What does that mean? They're looking for the right case to have national effect. So the case out of North Carolina that rejected ISL, that was a redistricting case. That was a case in which the state Supreme Court struck down the state's map using the state constitution. And the Supreme Court said, sorry, no dice, we're not accepting ISL. So the folks in Michigan said, well, let's take a different approach at it. Let's now, rather than attacking state courts and applying their state constitutions, let's attack the people. Let's attack the people of a state using the ballot initiative process to amend the laws or pass state laws. So that's what this Michigan case is. It's another way at trying to build a vehicle to attack, to get this ISL theory some footing. But it was rejected, and so we'll see whether they appeal. But you're right. They are also trying to build a case that could have national impact.
They also know that both parties wield power differently. And so that asymmetry is on full display where, if this was handed down, Democratic-led state legislatures would not kind of thrust unpopular edicts onto their states, whereas Republicans have shown time and time again that they're perfectly willing to do exactly that. And so there's really no downside for Republicans to make their legislatures all powerful because they know that Democrats aren't going to really pose that much of a threat, but Republicans will.
That's right. I mean, Republicans have become the party of legislative terrorists, whether it's at Congress or it's in state legislatures around the country. They are willing to pass anything. I mean, no matter how odious to their voters, they are willing to pass anything. Look at the 6-week abortion ban that Ron DeSantis thrust through the state of Florida. Look at what you see Republican legislatures do to consumer protection laws. Look at what you see Republican legislatures do when it comes to clean water or clean air. I mean, they're willing to sacrifice or to oppose Medicaid expansion of health care paid for largely by the federal government. I mean, they're willing to subject their voters to just about any bad policy. And so they want all powerful legislatures for that very reason.
Right. Michigan is obviously a key battleground state, not just for the presidential election, but also for control of the Senate. Are there any other cases or voting rights issues that we should be watching in Michigan now that this case has been dismissed?
Yeah, look, we need to watch everything happening in Michigan. We just saw a lawsuit filed in Michigan by conservatives to try to purge the voter rolls. Now, that's something that, we've seen now in a number of swing states and critical states. But Republicans are not done attacking the state of Michigan and its voting. Remember, it was Michigan where Donald Trump tried to convince Republicans not to certify the outcome of elections. Well, I promise you, those bipartisan canvassing boards in Michigan, the Republicans on those canvassing boards have not gotten more pro-democracy since then. They've gotten worse. So there's a lot of work that needs to be done in Michigan between now and Election Day to make sure that we have free and fair elections and that they'll be certified. We also saw in Michigan some of the election vigilante efforts to kick people off the rolls, to submit voter challenges, including against members of the military who were entitled to vote, but who they got kicked off the rolls, at least temporarily. So Republicans in Michigan are, as you say, they are among the crazies of the crazy, and they are organized in these vigilante efforts. They are organized at the party level. They are organizing going to court. So Michigan is going to be a state to watch very carefully between now and November, and then in the post-election period.
And let's finish off with this. How do you reconcile the danger of this party that has gone off the rails with the fact that, this party is being led by people like Christina Caramo, who are just so kind of crazy that they don't do themselves any favors by it?
Right. So look, this is the balancing act that is the Republican Party, but we can't be complacent. Yes, right. We can mock the Rudy Giuliani's, the Jenna Ellis's, the Sidney Powell's. Okay, but the fact is, the RNC under Mike Whatley, he's a Republican lawyer from North Carolina who's more competent than Ronna McDaniel was. He has brought in Charlie Spees, who is more competent than some of the other jokers they had. They have lawyers in some of their outside law firms who are actually quite competent. Now, they still have the jokers, right? They still have the clowns and the grifters, but we cannot assume that they will always be incompetent. Chris LaCivita, who is the co-campaign manager for Donald Trump, is a very competent longtime political operative. He's also now overseeing the RNC. So, we need to not just laugh at them. We should take our laughs when we get them, but we need to take seriously the damage that they can do between now and Election Day and the post-election period, as the entire Republican Party apparatus, the jokers, the grifters, but also the more competent, have now been completely co-opted by Donald Trump. And so, my team, we fight in court, but everyone needs to be doing their part to not discount how much damage the Republican Party can do and Donald Trump can do to our democracy.
Yeah, perfectly put. And again, that underscores the need for folks like you and your team doing the invaluable work that you do in the courts, which has become the front line for a lot of these battles for Republicans. So again, for those watching right now, if you want to support Marc and his team, please sign up for Democracy Docket. I'll put the link right here on the screen and also in the post description of this video. I'm Brian Teller Cohen.
I'm Marc Elias.
This is Democracy Watch.